Hi there, welcome to a new concept for the channel where you, the viewer, gets to come onto the show and tell me, Houston, we have a problem. I want to hear from you, your community, and the issues you have with the United Kingdom currently. And the only thing I ask you to do is start a conversation with, Houston, we have a problem. When you see the description on YouTube, all you have to do is scroll down the description, click on that link, it'll bring you straight into the studio. From there, I'll invite you up. You start the conversation with Houston, we have a problem. And we'll see what we can do to help you, your community, and your problems going forward. You never know, it might be my next journey, planting bread to the UK, to come to your community and cover your issues. So get live, get involved. Houston, we have a problem. Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of the live call-in show, and you've just seen how we take part. Please do so. And look at Basil again from X. I see you've not put it on X yet, Basil.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I'll do that now.
Yes. You're a bad mouse, so yeah. So just to keep us live until, somebody's just put their Exile Viking. I'm back from the hotel. If that was the one I done the thing about before, Exile Viking, when I put a video out earlier on today, the one in Clydebank, and please just go in the description, click the link, and come on and tell us what you've seen, if you don't mind sharing. Aye, there we go. Hopefully that's what it is. So Basil, what's new today while we wait on the first caller?
Well, yeah, the obviously the migrant hotel protest in Dis this time is taking place, which if anyone's not watching it, there's loads of live streams going right now with it on. But yeah, obviously it's very similar to the Epping protest that we saw last weekend. And, you know, there's going to be another one next weekend in Epping. And obviously there's a bit of controversy about whether Tommy Robinson will be joining or not, the protest. So, yeah, look, these protests aren't going away. The problem isn't going away. Lots of people have been talking about how long are the police going to be comfortable policing these events when they know that the politicians are doing nothing to help solve the problem. Keir Starmer appeared before a committee just the other day saying that essentially these hotels won't be a problem for much longer. And the reason why is because he's putting them in our communities instead from now on. Mm-hmm. So he's actually said that the Operation Scatter, which is the name that they gave to it behind the scenes that was leaked, is true. And we will be having illegal migrant men in houses around our streets across the nation. So again, I don't see the problem getting any better. It's only going to get worse. You're going to see more people having conflicts with each other in enclaves of city centres and so on, where again little girls will be targeted because we know what these men are like, and unfortunately the problem is just going to keep getting worse.
Mm-hmm. So did you where's the ones today? I didn't pick up on that.
There's a place called Dis, DISS. Yeah, so Dis is there's a protest there right now outside of a migrant hotel. If anyone's interested, Sydney Jones is streaming it on Twitter. I'm not sure who's streaming it on YouTube, but yeah, Sydney's down there right now. So yeah, this is it's just a small. I mean, the thing is, and this is in Norfolk, by the way, but it's a small market town similar to Epping, where these are leafy areas. These are not areas you would describe as particularly run down. I know that the typical attitude of the governments of past has been to say, well, you know, the far right come from these working class, broken areas, underclass areas, if you want, you know, real poverty-stricken areas. These two towns are not that. You couldn't describe them as that. And obviously, you know, these are some of these people will be slightly wealthier or whatever, but the point is they're coming out in force, and there's people from all different backgrounds uniting together to say they're not having this. And what you will notice, by the way, is, and I've asked plenty of people, Mystic Media on YouTube, thank you very much. Yeah, Mystic's great. I actually spoke to him the other night because he got run over. I don't know if anyone saw that. He got run over when he was at Epping, which was horrible, by the police. He's okay though, which is good to see. But yeah, what you'll notice is that I've spoken to some of the people who are down there, and I've sort of commented them and DM'd them and stuff, and asked, you know, the locals, do you recognise any of the counter protesters? And they all say no. No counter-protesters are from the local area. So people they're getting bussed in, these counter-protesters. These are organised activists that are getting transported in, essentially, to make it look like there is this is not an issue that is one-sided. And obviously, it's a terrible state of affairs.
Yeah, funny you should mention that, the bussing in. I had Martin on, when was it Martin on Friday? Thursday or
Martin
Friday.
Gauci.
It was a guy, yeah, who done
Yeah, good guy.
amazing. I think he was streaming for about 3 hours, down in, why's that name just went right out of my head, mate? Where's the protest?
Well, Epping.
Epping, aye.
Yeah.
Martin had done a great job. We showed some of his stuff while we were on live, if you remember, when it was all starting to kick off.
Mm-hmm.
And I had him on, and we were talking a lot about the footage he had with the cops putting them on the buses. And I was asking him, I was curious, I wasn't quite clear with the footage I'd seen, whether that was bussing them away when they sort of got into bother, or bussing them towards it. And it was both.
Yeah.
What is going on? And then the video I done on Saturday, when I nicked down to the protest for the Palestinian mob, who were angry that one of their protesters three of their protesters were arrested. They're like, they're doing this every day, right?
Yeah.
And that might have not been rent a mob, but these are people who that tends to be their weekend. And it's just whatever the thing is. And you saw the interview I done with the person. Didn't ask for their pronouns. So, I don't want to mispronounce somebody, misgender somebody. So just see the person that I interviewed. Didn't have really a clue why they were there. Well, they thought they had, and when I pressed them on it, I says, right, okay, so how do you know that it's illegal? Because that's what they were saying, they were arrested illegally. I said, but you've just said, I said, well, what was the actions? They said they were arrested illegally for actions at company business premises in the central Scotland. I said, what actions did they do? I don't know. And what type of premises was it? I'm not sure. So, well, if you don't know what they've done and where they've done it, how do you know that they were arrested illegally then? And it was all mic off, end of conversation. And you kind of think, well, why would you get the house to go and protest about something and be really upset about something when you don't really know what it is? And it's kind of bonkers, isn't it? But that's kind of what we've got.
I've just seen that that Jason, is it Uren? I guess he's pronounced it. Wonder what what they wanted those 1.5 million new houses for, right? Just remember, right? So it's already been proven that the 1.5 million new houses, even if they manage to build them all, which they won't, right? It's just physically impossible in the time frame they've been given with the amount of skill set and material we have here. But at the end of the day, if they build all of those things, all those houses, it's already been said 5 out of 7 of them will go to migrants. Now, this is legal migrants that are not even here yet, right? So basically, Angela Rayner has said that the Treasury's predictions are that we'll have migration in the hundreds of thousands for the next 5 years, meaning 5 out of 7 of those houses will go to them. That's not even including the illegal migrants that are coming over, because those numbers they can't predict, right? So illegal migrants could be anything, and they're all going to get a house too. So ultimately, you're going to end up with none of these houses for British citizens.
Yeah, I mean, that Rayner done an interview, didn't she? And she was cornered on it. I can't remember who done it, but it was quite a good interview. And she just didn't have a clue. She had no comeback. He was like, well, that's just going to help with the migrants, isn't it? Oh, no. And there was another weird one, right? The SNP declared a national housing crisis in Scotland middle to end of last year. I think it was the autumn. And they said they were putting X hundreds of millions of pounds in for social housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They put out a press release last week where they'd done a wee jolly and they turned up at one of these, selfie opportunities. And they said, well, that's great because that's going to provide an extra so many mid-rent housing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hold on a minute, stop. You told us this hundreds of millions of pounds was going into social housing. And now you're celebrating because some of the money you've put in is to get into mid-rent housing. Well, that's not what the money was for. And you kind of think, well, do they actually know what they're doing, these people? They kind of think, we can tell them anything and we'll all forget what they said yesterday. And we've all got a brain. And I just want to show you this. What did you say that? Antitch, sorry. We did at Wales 100 days protesting to stop 241 migrants come into a small village of 400, mostly elderly people back in the area. 2023, and we won against the Home Office decision, and they changed their decision, so it can be done everywhere. Correct, 100% agree with that. And
but remember though, they will have been settled somewhere else in the country, so they don't.
Yeah.
It's not that they go back to where we should be, which is out of our country. I mean, we were on the podcast the other day, and we were talking about the Afghanistan settlement scheme, and we worked it out that basically, if you count all of the dependents, you're looking at a city the size of Newcastle, right? So Newcastle Central, right, which is over 200,000 people, you're looking at that, just Afghanis that are due to come in now. These numbers are insane. Our country is becoming unrecognizable. And again, all it leaves is that question that keeps coming up is, who's going to be the one to get into power and say, these people need to go? They all need to go. Remigration, repatriation, whatever you want to call it. There are millions that need to leave this country if we are going to keep this country as ours.
Mm-hmm. There's Graham telling us a bit of a horror story about a hospital visit. Graham, you're on YouTube. Go into the description, click the link, come into studio. Tell us your story, mate. Houston may have a problem. That's what we're doing here. Giving you guys a platform. It's just... They need to stop it, and they need to do deportations. That's it. It's no rocket science.
Yeah.
And every single person, see when you say to somebody, can you do something, right? Whatever it is, you ask them, do you want to buy this pen? Could you give me a loan of 100 quid? Are you going on holiday next week? When they say no, the next words that come out of their mouth are either one of two things. It's either a reason for not doing it or an excuse for not doing it.
Yeah.
So if they could come out and say, well, look, and give us a reason why, the public are not stupid, and we're not terrible, that if there was genuine justifiable reasons, then fine. But if they don't, it's just all bullshit. It's just all total nonsense. It's just lies. That's all it is.
Yeah. And obviously,
I don't get sick of it.
Yeah, and obviously Nigel Farage got up on stage today and did a speech about crime getting crazier in the country, right? Now, look, in the past, me and you have both slagged off reform for the worst elements of them. Today, there was nothing particularly that stood out to me that was shocking or irrelevant or whatever. I thought they did actually a pretty good press conference. But one thing I will say is that reform announced a new policy, and the policy was every crime will be investigated by the police. Now, that sounds crazy, right? Because you start thinking, well, surely the police should investigate every crime. It's their job, right? But that's the state of the country right now, that reform have to come out and say, we're going to investigate every crime. And people go, that's really radical. Wouldn't that be great? It's almost like saying, a doctor will treat every person. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is what we're living with right now because of how bad the country has become at the hands of previous governments.
Yeah, imagine that having to be a policy. Yeah. Kev says about somebody was asking about going to Loch Lomond. He's saying the West Park Hotel was available. That's the one thing, the thing on it. Yes. Right? Do you know what? It just reminded me of something. Somebody the comments on the video. See that? I'm sure it was the comments in the video, or maybe when I shared it on X. They're now calling it the West Bank Hotel.
Brilliant. Can we talk about your video from earlier today?
Crack on, aye.
Can we talk about our conversation that we had about it as well? What I did.
Aye, batter on.
Well, fair enough. Anyway, so Craig rang us up earlier and he said about there's something been going on. And obviously, I think he's spoken to Kev previously about this, and they've been speaking to a number of people about this and said there's something going on at this West Park Hotel or whatever. And he just said, how about trying to ring them up to get a room or so, just to try and find out what it is. So I did ring them up, and I rang them up and got through. And then they basically said they're not interested because at first I wanted to ask that, have they got any migrants living there or whatever? And then the second thing was when I rang through, they blocked my number, right? So I was like, right, so I can't get back through there. So I ended up trying to book a room online because the story that they've put out is it's not illegal migrants being in this hotel. It's just, I think they said it was 2 busloads of Indians that have come in and they're doing a tour of Scotland or some crap like that. Anyway, if you go and try and book online, they're fully booked for like an entire year. You literally cannot get further in the calendar to book out. So that means it's very, very likely to me that we've got illegal asylum seekers in there, because otherwise, how could you guarantee that it was booked up for the rest of the year? Do you know what I mean? You think hotels, they're always trying to fight for custom and all that sort of stuff, and they're saying, "Nah, we're closed for business." Again, these hotels are cropping up everywhere, and the incentive is unbelievable. And on the back of that, by the way, the incentive for the landlords to take these people in the towns and cities and stuff around this country, honestly, the guaranteed payment for 5 to 7 years, right? I've seen different timelines on that, but guaranteed payment, right? So the government we're paying the bill basically, right? So it's always guaranteed rent. Anything defunct, damaged, or whatever, we pay for. We pay to fix all that. You don't have to chase around your client or whatever. This is the sort of stuff that we're basically making a system where not only are we bringing these people here, we're putting our own British native population potentially into worse accommodation or on the streets of the country because they can't compete with literally the government by renting these properties out. I mean, how else do you describe that other than treason? Really, how do you describe it?
And listen, there's a few holes in the story. Listen, that hotel story could be semi-right. I mean, they might not be coming. I don't think it is a migrant hotel right now, to be honest with you, because I've been up last night. I was up today at lunchtime, and there's nobody there. You would have security, you would have something, right? But they're saying that their bar's still open and all that nonsense. Well, there was nobody there, right? There was nobody there last night. There was nobody there today. And today I drove, you can't drive right round the building, to be fair, but I drove that I could see everywhere in the building. There was not a single car. So how did the staff get there, right? I don't think there's anybody. I think there has been somebody in it. And the bit about the Indians there could be true. But that doesn't mean the rest of the story is true. And I looked up daft things, like I found the website with the itinerary. And the first day in the itinerary that this Angel Coaches or Angel Tours do, you stay near Loch Lomond. You come from England all the way up, stay, and then the next day you got Loch Lomond, you got West Isle, up by Glencoe, Fort William and all that, and see the Highlands. So you're only there the one night. So that would mean that the last trip left on Wednesday. This bus wasn't there Wednesday, it was there Friday or Saturday. So it's just a lot of nonsense. That bit doesn't tie up. The photographs that I get sent of the bus dropping people off wasn't the company's coach, because I went on their website and guess what? They got photos of their coach, and it wasn't them. So there's a lot. Well, we've got our first guest in, and it's Exile. So Exile, do you know what to do? What do you say when you come up? And tell us what your problem is, pal.
Good evening, Craig and the other chap. Yeah, just to confirm, I went to the same hotel, just came back about 2 hours ago, and I saw nothing to suggest that it's operational at the moment. I mean, I went right up to the gate and I couldn't see anything inside. So I decided to phone it up, and I was met by a South Asian Arabic kind of voice, and I just said, I would like to book a room for tonight. Can we do that? And he said, no, we are refurbishing the place. It's not going to be open for a while. And with that, I just said, okay, thank you. So across the road, hung around for about half an hour, and nothing came in or out. So I'm like yourself. I'm of the mind that it's not currently operational at the moment. It could be a nothing burger, or it could possibly be being prepped to take in all these migrants. Only time will tell.
See, when you were looking to book a room, did you go online at all?
No, I just phoned directly. I just went on the website, phoned them up.
What's funny, when you go on to like TripAdvisor and stuff, there's a lot of photographs of the hotel, right, and the reviews, and it's actually told, right? And I kind of don't think even the migrants would live in it, to be perfectly honest with you, the way it was when the guys just bought it in June of this year. I done a search. I don't know if you watched the video I put out, but I done a
I watched it.
Scotland Registry search, and the proof of ownership's there, and the price he paid for it, many paid for it, right? So it's just recently been bought, and it sounds feasible that you would close it and do it up. But because there's so many holes in the story, there's somebody from the hotel gone on to a local Facebook page called I'm a Banky Yourself or something. It was like a strange name. And there's loads of holes in their story. I mean, folks say, well, what about all the staff that left? Oh, they left for a different reason. And it was apparently like chefs and things that you probably wouldn't need, because I believe these migrant hotels get things in, meals brought in. And the person was also saying, well, our bar's still open. Why would we open the bar if we had it full of refugees? Your bar wasn't open, because I've been there twice. One, it was about between 9 and 10 o'clock at night last night, and it was around about 11 o'clock today. So, there's kind of holes in it. There's somebody saying single malt refurb season. To be fair, single malt, I'm trying to play with a straight bat and look at both options. That hotel is a shite hole. The guys bought it in June. You kind of, that bit could be genuine. But the biggest concern I've got is there's so many holes in the story that's been put into this local Facebook page that I'm kind of, and somebody else that we may know phoned up pretending to be a journalist. See, I went there today fully expecting to be able to talk to somebody. And what I was wanting to do was to say, look, I'm a podcaster. I cover a lot of stuff about immigrant hotels. And if yours genuinely is an immigrant hotel, then let's do a podcast about that. And I can let people know, and that might prevent you getting any further grief. It would prevent people maybe coming to protest, because there's people already wanting to do that. But I couldn't speak to anybody. So somebody that we know phoned up pretending to be a proper journalist, and when they offered to do the same, they said, we're not interested, and put the phone down. Now, you think about what that's happened there logically then, Viking, is if that was your hotel and your side of the story was all genuinely true, would you not have taken that offer of putting the record straight to a national?
Yes, I would. Because the worst thing is people have no information. They start spreading rumors like wildfire, and before you know it, so much misinformation. So I would just nip it in the bud and say, look, guys, I bought the hotel. I intend to have it up and running by the end of the year, but currently right now I'm doing major refurbishment. So that's why it's closed. And we're not housing migrants or anything. We're just doing a refurbish because, let's be honest, it's a shithole. I would just be honest, and I think that would disperse any rumours going around.
It may not disperse out any rumours, because people do like a rumour, even when they're faced with the facts. If they don't fit the narrative, then sometimes they can still, talk nonsense.
Exactly.
It's not acceptable. It would stop some of it, mate. And I think having not done it and not being so offhand about it is just a bit smelly to me, to be perfectly honest.
But also, let's just remember, right? When someone, right, so he's bought this hotel, right? Look, there's two options here. He's either bought this hotel and he wants to refurbish it up and then make the money back from standard punters of the British public, right? So if he was doing that, you would expect there to be things on the website, signs, people answering phones saying, listen, we're going to be available from, it'll be done by, I don't know, January next year, as you said, end of the year or whatever, trying to get people booked in so they know they've got money coming up ahead, I had a look a year ahead. You literally cannot book anything. So how long are these refurbishments going on for? Or more likely, he's bought the hotel. Yes, it is crap, but he knows he's going to make the money because he's going to buy it just to house illegal immigrants in there. They've turned around and said it's a death trap or whatever. Yeah, you've got to do some refurbishment. But ultimately, once it gets up to a standard that the government says acceptable, they can just pile immigrants in there and he gets paid for it. That seems like a more obvious option to me, because if he's wanting regular punters to be in there, where's the advertisement to say when this is going to end? Where is the big kind of, we're getting this refurbished, it's going to be a great new place to come. Everyone get booked up now before you're too late. There's none of that. They've taken the bookings option off their website. So what does that tell you?
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree with that.
Apparently, they've just had a bus or two bus loads worth of Indian families in the hotel, but it's shut for refurbishment. How's that possible? I'm still going to play this with a straight bat. I'm going to keep open-minded about it. I hope it came across when I was doing the video today. But if I was a betting man, I think there's too much smelliness going on that it's going to happen.
It makes sense. It's like I say, there's a lot of right now. If I was somebody who had a bit of cash and I had no morals or principles and didn't care about my country, and you just thought, how can I make a quick buck? Well, take over a dilapidated hotel, You've got nothing to worry about in terms of advertising, marketing, etc. And just say to the government, I'll get it refurbed to the basic standard it needs to be, and you can put as many illegal immigrants in there as you want, and you'll pay for every single one of them. Well, the British taxpayer will, and there you go. It's a way to make it's just another scam that this country, there's people in this country willing to take money and from politicians who essentially don't care about this country. Where it's another scam where they'll a quick get rich scheme off the back of back of British taxpayers.
I'm trying to find this Facebook page, the stuff that to put up on the screen what the hotel said, but I'm struggling to get it. I'm wondering if it's been taken down. Let me just see Park. There's Park Hotel. Can you see it?
What are you looking for?
It's weird. Somebody sent me a link to the Facebook page where the hotel had went on and told their version of events. And when I go into my history and I click on what I think was the page on Facebook, it's just coming up no longer available.
Yeah, maybe they've shut it down. Maybe they've just said just keep quiet about everything. I mean, as you said yourself, you can imagine when the rumours started circling, a lot of people will have been in touch and possibly very aggressive towards them and saying, we don't want them here. Why are you bringing them here? And so on. Because at the end of the day, there is somebody who'll be making money off the back of this. And if it's all true and it gets found out who that person is, I imagine he won't be very, or she won't be very popular in the local community.
Actually, I wanted to add something about that. When I called the number, it was like several seconds before he answers, which makes me think he's probably been inundated with calls and he was hesitant in case this was another abusive call. But I just spoke normally as I'm doing now, but as I spoke, I noticed he relaxed and he responded a lot quicker. But at first, he was a bit hesitant to speak. So I think that's the reason.
Wouldn't surprise me, mate. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And I've seen a few people mentioning about the Afghanistan thing there, and the resettlement scheme, saying that there's going to be up to 8. So the average is 8 dependents they're bringing with them. You're absolutely right, and the average is also 6 children they're bringing with them. So of those 8 dependents, 6 are children. Now think about the next generation. This is going to explode in terms of a population size in this 200,000 city that they're going to be essentially. So just remember, within a generation, you're going to have, potentially millions of Afghanis in our country within one generation. You've also got to remember as well, when you see the dependents there, the 6 of them are children. That means the 2 other dependents are, wives, as they take multiple wives in that country, or possibly even elderly relatives. Either way, though, they're all going to be using the NHS. They're all going to be using public services. And I guarantee you, none of them are going to be contributing to the economy.
Kev said, I'm trying to unmute him to let him talk, but it's saying it can't unmute a guest who's muted himself. So you're muted, Kev.
Sorry, man. I was just sitting there. I know bad. No, I was just sitting letting you guys talk there. Look, see, the sooner people realise that we're just getting absolutely gaslit off our government, the better it's going to be. Nobody knows about what hotels are getting used because they're not telling us where these people are getting planted. Do you know what I mean? It's only when they're in and around the area and the local residents are starting to see it. That's when we're getting them made aware of where these people are. But they shouldn't be doing this. You're talking about these Afghanis as well. I was watching a guy called Bruce Unfiltered on TikTok. Right, guy's really good. 1 in 16 of these are actually are eligible to be here. 1 in 16. 15 of them have got absolutely no right to be in this country. They're just coming through the back door. So, and not just that, 2 weeks ago, one of the ones that actually arrived here got caught raping a young lassie. So, what is it we're going to have to do? Are we just going to have to think we're going to keep having to vote our way out of this? Because nobody's listening to us. Even on X a day, I've been I've just been, you know me, I just kind of rage post and rage comment. And honestly, the people of Scotland are sitting arguing with me when you're hitting them with figures, facts and figures of what's happening in your country, and they still don't want to believe it. They still think John Swinney's doing a great job. They still think Hamza Yusuf is the saviour of Scotland. They still think Anna Sanwar and his dad are going to be great for this country. Wake up, man. Do you know what I mean? Get a grip. We need change, and we need real change in this country, a viable change. That hotel in West Park, you and I spoke about it yesterday, Craig. I mean, when I phoned them, they were telling me they were fixing doors and the pub was still open. Yet when you've been there, that pub's not been open.
Well, on that, listen, I found the post on Facebook. Right? I just want to go over a couple of things because again, I'm trying to play this with a straight bat, but there's holes in this story. Hi, I'd just like to say I'm absolutely appalled and disgusted by the rumours being spread about our hotel, i.e. that it's hosting immigrants. When it's not, I kind of believe that. Right now, I don't think it is. I think there's been a group of people in it for one night. Who they are, what they are, I don't know. It could be they were Indians on a bus trip. It could be they were other migrants, possibly been bussed for London. They were going up north and they just threw them in there because they knew they had somewhere to put them for a night. I don't know, right? So that could be true just now. That is tourists from India, and not everyone from another country is an immigrant. The people on that bus tour Scotland with their families for a week and then go home. Right. Now, I'm just going to, once I finish this, I'm going to try and go into Angel tours, right? Because don't tour for a week. It's a 3-day trip. I do not appreciate the lies or the staff in our hotel having both their safety and jobs put at risk. People have the audacity to come up to your place of work and take pictures of guests, then to post with a lot of lies about immigration. Now, there was no photographs of the people. There was photographs of a bus, right? There was rumours it was 2 buses. I don't know. I've seen a photo of 1 bus. And the photograph of the bus, guess what, was the Angel Tours bus. Because Angel Tours buses are on their website. And they have different decals. Our bar is back open. I've been twice. Our friend that's in the collar just now, Viking, he's been up there. Did you see the bar open, Viking? You still there? Oh, he's disappeared.
So you talking to Kev or me?
No, I was talking to Viking. Oh, sorry, I dropped out. Sorry, I don't know if I pulled him out there by mistake or not.
No,
Viking,
it
you were up there earlier. Was the bar open?
No, it was all closed.
Right, so they're telling lies there about the bar. And welcome to see our hotel houses tourists and regulars, as it always has. Right, all are welcome to come and see our hotel houses tourists and regulars as it always has. Now, I tried that today. Vikings tried that today, and you can't get in. Right, so that's a lie. So what I'm saying is, it is possible what they're telling us is partly true. But when you dress it up with absolute nonsense, it kind of leaves a smell. And then you go doing it, somebody's tagged me in it, I'm never on Facebook now. Fair play, getting a load of cash for house. And wow, finally the truth's coming out about the hotel. Last August I booked a room with my brother with special needs, putting a chalet away at the back of the hotel. I saw those rooms. I was wondering if they were maybe where the staff stay. Was a tip. Phoned the reception, was told the manager was away with his mother, died, no TV, remote, cupboard door fell off, complained in the morning, was told sorry, plant had died, blah, 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 right? So it's a carsy. But there are more posts. There's somebody's popped my video and I hope I'll get a couple of likes. I hope you went and watched it. When I was looking earlier, the anonymous participant, there we go. Families having a nice holiday like they deserve. Not all men, and as others are saying, these people deserve to visit Scotland. So what they're suggesting is, that's the people that were up on the trip, right? The one thing I will say to you is, and I can't definitely 100% categorically say this is right, okay? I'll try and pull up my video. See those trees behind them? They're all the same colour, apart from one big one away at the back, right? I'll pull my video up in a minute, and you'll see the trees that are there today. You have light coloured ones and dark coloured ones in front of this building here. So I don't even know if that photograph was today. And then the other thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 people. They could fit in one bus, but we were told there was 2. That might be wrong. So that might be, crock of shite as well. But it might be true. So, but there's just so many holes in it that I don't know. And it's amazing the amount of people just leave them alone and You know, these people, even if they are migrants, they're allowed to be there and all that. And you're like, I bet you don't stay across the road for the hotel, you know? But yeah, that's all. Aye, it hasn't disappeared. I just couldn't find it.
Can I ask you a question on that, Craig? You know,
No.
the idea that in Scotland, this is what I'm asking: is it is the I don't know how to phrase this, but basically, in Scotland, is there more of an attitude that, you know, of welcoming towards migrants than it is in England? What's the difference?
I don't think there is a difference, mate. I think what you've got is you've got one thing that you can't factor into England, right? And that is the amount of people up here that are separatists. And I don't really mind people that are separatists if they have a notion they want Scotland to be an independent country. They're allowed that opinion. However, with some of them, they want to drive it down your throat and want to force it through. Use any excuse whatsoever to justify that. And what I've seen today, even on my own video, some of the posts, the comments, where that's because it's an English problem, because England can't protect their border and we end up getting the brunt of it, and we should be independent. And you go, shut up. So you get a lot of people like that. You get people say, unionists don't want immigrants, so we'll just automatically go the complete opposite, because that's kind of what we do in this stage. So you get a lot of people who go, one day it's an independence now banner, the next day it's Free Palestine banner, and the next day it's refugees welcome here banner. It's the same people talking about the same nonsense. It doesn't really, they don't actually sit down and consider it. It's just, well, I don't want to be far right, although nobody really is far right. Very, very few people are actually far right, but those that are termed far right, I don't want to be them, so I'm going to take the opposite. So I don't think you've got that element in it down south, where you've got a separatist movement that kind of all have to say and think the same, or you're not in the groovy gang. And they've got this refugee welcome here thing, and you've got Scottish Parliament just now, the SNP, currently still pushing Westminster to have a Scottish visa, where the Scottish Parliament will decide how many people come here to work. You think, well, you know fine well Westminster can't accept that, because if we then decided who can come to Scotland, then what's to stop somebody coming to Scotland and jumping on a bus and going to London? Right? So it's never going to happen. So a lot of bollocks, right? And this is the same SNP that told us a year ago, or less than a year ago, we've got a housing crisis and we want to bring more people here. It's just nonsense. And it's all to try and drive that wedge to force through independence by many, mate, which you don't get down south. So it appears that way. I don't believe it. I don't think anybody hates immigrants. Well, normal people. But what most normal people have, the two things, the problems I've got with, is the numbers and the type. When it's massive amounts of people who are not families running away for a war-torn situation, it's guys just here because they think it's a better life, then that's where we have problems, and we have concerns about their families, our children, and our females in particular. And I kind of think that's a general feeling. But you've got some lunatics up here. They just have to not say that, because it's no been in the groovy gang by not saying that, and you might get kicked out your local cuddly separatist club. Sorry, I rant.
Don't forget, Craig, the SNP's idea of an independent Scotland is subservience to the EU. So that's basically an oxymoron. But you try telling that to your average SNP supporter, and they call you all the smears and names under the sun.
Yeah. Listen, my cousin is a separatist, and he was active back in the days with the referendum and after. He used to help organise a lot of stuff for the independence people. But he's actually one that I understand, because he's like, he voted for Brexit because he's like, I just want Scotland to be independent. I can understand that. I cannot understand that we want to go for this straight to that. Now, here's another thing, Viking. I'm just back for Croatia for the first time ever. And when you go to a country, you kind of start paying attention to it. And I was a wee bit more interested about the Yugoslavian war and the history behind that while I was there. Do you know that Croatia applied to be an EU member in 2007 and was accepted, and is still not an EU member? It's anticipated that I think it will happen in 2027, right? So you're 20, it takes you 20 years. But these crackpots are like, we'll no need a currency, because we'll have the EU because we'll use a euro, or we'll just use the sterling. And you think, you've not thought this through, have you? You've genuinely not thought this through. Then when you factor in the fact that Spain could veto it, Because if Spain allowed Scotland to break away from the United Kingdom and be automatically accepted as an EU member, it kind of doesn't help the fact that they've got Catalonia and, to a certain degree, the Basque region want to be independent for Spain. So it's highly unlikely they would do anything other than veto the idea. Because why would they? Why would they make it easier for parts of countries to break off, become independent, and just jump back into the EU? They wouldn't want
Exactly.
that. But they don't want to listen to any of this nonsense.
Yeah, that's the problem. If, say, Scotland became an EU member, Catalonia and the Basque Country will rightfully say, hey, we want to be independent as well as EU members. So it would basically cause a chain reaction, and Spain does not want the country to break up. So it would be basically that problem there. They would all rightfully say, we want to be like that too.
Yeah. And listen, I don't think there's anybody in the EU got any problems with Croatia being a member of the EU. But 20 years later, they're still not, well, it's under 20 years, but no far under 20 years, they're still not an EU member. So what do you do in the meantime?
It's a country I've never been to. I've heard good things about it, but the furthest I've ever been was just Hungary and Budapest. I mean, it's kind of a short jump from there.
Yeah, it's not far south of that. You've got that whole sort of Yugoslavia that was there, so, it's all broke up now. But what a strange war that was. And there was things about it I was unaware of until I was visiting the place. And the most bizarre thing I found, Dubrovnik's quite a nice city, right? But the nicest bit, it's about a square mile called the Old Town, which is beautiful. It's stunning, right? It's like walking into Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney, but it's real and it's bigger, right? And it was under siege for about 3 months, the whole city of Dubrovnik, and nobody bothered doing anything about it. But then they started bombing the Old Town, which was a UNESCO UN protected area. As soon as they done that, the rest of the world jumped in. Do you know what I mean? You're like, they were under siege for 3 months before anybody cared. And you're just, that's all what, I think that war was just so confusing because there was so many little subplots going on that it was kind of hard for anybody to keep, keep in pace of whatever and was going on. Kevin, get bad news for you, mate. Oh, you're a couple of quid.
For what now?
Wendy Moore's just put £2 in and went, that's for Kev.
That's quality.
£8, but by the time YouTube took their cut off it, I think you're probably just about covered your tram fare that you bumped me.
I just wait till that hits about a couple of grand, big man, then just fire it out at that point.
See,
you know what I mean?
See, on that, can I just say a thank you to a few folk? I'm hopefully taking another European tour this week. And there's some just even while we're live, unbelievable. No way.
What?
Right, I've got this trip in my head. I might just book it tomorrow and I'll be in a plane on Wednesday, right? And it's a bonkers one, and it's going to cost me a 4-figure sum. Plus, I'll be at a commission for about 4 or 5 days. So, I put a wee shout out.
You want me to take out your show for you, big man?
No, you're all right. I want a show to come back to, Kev. You'd get me papped off YouTube if you did yourself. So, anyway, I've got this mad idea, but it's going to cost me a right few quid, right? And I'm just back for holiday, and YouTube do pay me for adverts, but there's no way, even if I put 5 videos out that were all good watched a lot, would cover this expense. So I put a thing saying, look, and by the way, folk put stuff on YouTube, and that's great. I'm thankful. It's humbling. But YouTube take off a right chunk of it, whereas Buy Me a Coffee take off like, it works out about 5%. I think it's like 3% plus 30 cents per transaction. So it's a bit less than 5%. And I've lost count, but I've just went in there to check it. A guy who's already given me money, by the way, last week, has just put in $110 and another guy 50 sterling. And I'm like, so I think today there's about 200-300 quid must be just towards that trip. And you just, do you know what? It's absolutely outstanding. And if I can raise 500 or 600 quid, I'll just book it tomorrow and I'll be on a plane Wednesday, right? I know that won't cover the price of the trip. I'm quite confident that the adverts will then, help the buyer do there, and I'll take the punt and go. But that's just mental inspiring, mate. Honest to God, I can't. It's actually dead humbling. It is really, really humbling. This isn't to make Craig money. This is to, I do get paid with YouTube and it doesn't cost anybody that, right? But I could sit in the house and no go to the other side of Europe to try and see what's going on really at the coalface with immigrants. And I could not do that. I could just sit and do 10-minute moons all day, and I would make the same amount of money off YouTube. But when I go, I've got obviously days when I'm not putting stuff out, and I kind of can't lose track of that. I would lose that earnings, if I just used all that money for the covering expenses. So it's just nuts. It's just mental. I'm blown away. I think I've probably got about a third of the trip today already donated, and honestly, it's really humbling.
Well, that's the thing, though, Craig.
Emotional about it.
Aye, but this is the thing, though, Craig. Right, I've been saying this for long enough. Right, see everybody that's getting involved now. People that are like Martin's obviously started up his YouTube channel, and you've got John Watt, you've got Alex for Spartan, you've got yourself. I mean, there's so many people now trying to do something because we can't trust the mainstream media to give us any news. So we need people like yourselves to get out there and put your faces in front of a camera and then turn around and say, well, do you know what? I'm prepared to stand up and be counted here. Do you know what I mean? And rightly so. If people feel people are only donating because they want to keep getting the news, the proper news, and what's actually happening. And I think it's. I mean, look, I know it's humbling for you because just like yourself, John and Alec, who I converse with quite a lot. I mean, especially Alec as well. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's ever asked for money. Nobody's asked for money to be given to you. He's put it out your own pockets and he's going to do what you need to do. But do you know what? It's right that people contribute, and whether that's just gone through subscribing to your channel or sharing your content on X, you know what I mean, so you can get monetized, you know what I mean? And that's what we've got to keep doing. We've just got to try and keep supporting the people that are prepared to say, do you know what? I'll stand up for these. Give me your backing and I'll stand up for these. Because that's all we're asking for. Because we're not getting it anywhere else. But all we've got right now is ball bags and chargers. Absolute clowns. I mean, Keir Starmer sat at that liaison committee meeting today and turned around and says he's trying to make communities safe and secure. But what planet are you on when you're looking around the country and the country is falling apart? People are out protesting because migrants, illegal migrants, right, let's get it right, illegals that are making their way here are sexually assaulting women and children in that area. And you're telling us you're trying to make it safe and secure? Cough, man. You know what I mean? Nobody's buying that shite anymore. You know what I mean? But how do we change it? So the only way we can do is by supporting the people that are prepared to step off that platform X, get it onto YouTube, get it onto Facebook, get it onto Instagram, get it wherever it needs to go, so we can reach other people other than just that platform X. Because X has only got 23 million or so people in Britain that use it. There's still, well, they say there's 70 odd million. I would question that one anytime soon. Do you know what I mean? So I just keep doing what you're doing, man. And listen, I'll say it as well. I appreciate everybody that puts money in your coffers because they're quite. You deserve it, just like everybody else is prepared to do something to give us all the news. That's the main important thing, because that square box in every single room in our houses is absolute full of crap because these fuckers don't want to tell us the truth.
Yeah. Somebody's asked me a question about will I be covering the UKIP in Glasgow on Saturday. Well, there's two reasons I won't be. The first reason is it looks as if I'll not be here because the trip that I've got planned leaves early as Wednesday, gets back, and I'm based from Manchester. I need to get down to Manchester as well, and doesn't get back till Sunday. But the other reason, Jade, is just it's a common sense thing. I spoke to the guys at UKIP because they've got another group on Twitter that's no under the UKIP banner. And I was down at one of their events in Manchester. Kev was down with me a couple of months ago. It was April we were down. And it was the same people, just it wasn't branded UKIP. And they said, look, we're going to be coming to Scotland. Will you come and talk at the event? And I was like, well, if it's branded UKIP, I can't. I'm the leader of the SDP. It wasn't common knowledge at that time, but I kind of knew the direction of travel was probably going to happen. And I says that, you couldn't get the guy that's the head of Labour going to the guy that's going to a Tory conference. It kind of would be a bit weird. And to be honest with you, I think if UKIP sat down and thought about it, we couldn't really give a platform to a guy we're not in competition with each other, right? It's not as if we are Labour and Tory, they were at each other's throats. There's a lot of commonality between me and my party and a lot of the policies. Some are maybe about half the policies they've got, some of them are similar. So it's not as if, it's not like the SNP we're talking about here, but it's just kind of, I couldn't do it. I don't know how my party would be, and I thought I'm not even going to ask. It's not the done thing. So I wish them well, but I'll probably not be in the country, Jade. And as I say, I thought initially they said, and I think Kevin was there when we were talking about it, they were going to have 2 events in Glasgow. One would be under the UKIP banner, and one would be under their other banner. And it's not turned out that way. I think for logistics for them, it made sense just to do one. So unfortunately, even if I wasn't away, it'd be quite difficult for me to go to that, to be honest with you. So hope that makes sense.
You mind the people as well, though. Even though the UKIP one, if you're not wanting to attend the one in UKIP, there is one on the 9th of August up in Peterhead as well, which isn't a political banner. It's not falling under any political banner. It's just the concerned citizens up in that region that are want to take to the streets and voice their concerns. So if you're not wanting to get involved with like a political protest, there is that one on the 9th of August at 12 p.m. At the Drummers Corner in Peterhead, if you want to fire up there.
I felt terrible, Kev. It was John Watt's 40th birthday on Saturday, and he had a thing in Glasgow at the Alvia Casino. I didn't know I didn't know Thingy Bob was gone.
John was trying to pass off his makeup artist as face painters. You know what I mean?
So we were getting a photo with the 3s, and I was like, Kev should be here, because the 4s are all going to Peterhead.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it, buddy. Looking forward to it. But I've got a wee important thing to do the day before. I'm due at court for my own alleged.
Stephen's still trying to get me to talk at it, so I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Stevie boy's still trying to get me to speak at it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm thinking hard.
I think you should, yeah.
I'll
that
speak
guy's
to you.
Asking, are you going to London on the 13th of September? I'm actually going to London for the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th of September. That guy, I've got a load of events on, which I'm either attending or speaking at, or obviously both. So, yeah, and I'm just hopeful I can fit it all in, because I'm not sure of some of the timetables for some of the stuff, but I'm due at events Friday, 2 events Saturday, and 1 on Sunday of that weekend in London. So if you're there, please say hello if you see my big baldy head. Anyway.
Well, I'm going to jump down and get on with it. So if you're one of the ball bags that thinks that SNP's doing for great for the UK, the Scotland people, for everybody else, have a great day now, and cheery bye.
Cheery bye now. He's stealing.
See you later, Kev.
Aye. He's not getting back on stealing my partner like
that. How'd you leave?
How'd you leave? Watch this.
Doing it
what does this button do? There you go. That's how you leave. You get papped out with me for stealing my patter. So what else we got to talk about? So what else is? I've missed a couple of things today. We've been out and about. What else have we had in the news? Oh, hold on. There's my battery telling me. You'll need to
well,
chat
speaking of people stealing your thunder, there's quite a few people going over to Calais now and going to Calais and look at the migrants thing, which I know you did yourself recently. But no, the only other thing that was really in the news today was the Tories announced that they've got a plan, and it all fits in with the law and stuff, to leave the ECHR. So they've put together this kind of dossier which kind of explains how we do it, why we do it, everything. And I assume the party's behind it. I don't know. Suella Braverman was the one putting it, but ultimately I think for anybody with half a brain, it's a no-brainer to leave the ECHR at this point, because ultimately we can't fix any of the problems that we have regarding immigration unless we do. And obviously the SDP have been big on that as well. The party you're the leader of in Scotland, Craig. So we need to leave the ECHR, and it needs to be done as soon as possible.
I need to leave you to hold the fort. I'm just about to lose my battery. I didn't realise when I came back in the day I had to fired in my power. I'm running on battery. So could you? There's in fact we've got. Somebody else came up there and he's disappeared. Somebody, Bobby, I didn't catch the name. It was down at the bottom. I was just about to bring him up. So, Bobby, if you're back to just watching, click on the link again, mate, and I'll get you straight back. But give me 1 second just to get my power.
I guess it's just me up here, is it, everyone? I hope you're all well anyway and enjoying the stream that Craig does. He does these regularly, which is nice of him to do. Let's have a look at some of the comments then, I guess. So we've got no questions in there. If we leave the ECHR, they can force vaccinate us. No, that's not true. The ECHR, the protections it's got are pretty flimsy, to be honest with you, nowadays, because they're all up for debate by the courts in Strasbourg. But this new plan would basically replace all the good bits, keep all the good bits, sorry, and replace all the bad bits. So I think it's going to become common for countries to leave the ECHR in the first few years of the next decade. But hopefully we'll get there sooner than that. I don't support UKIP, but Nick Tenconi is worth going into town for. He got balls, I'm sure, to hear that he has. I'm going to hear what he has to say. Hopefully he won't be joined up by the Screaming Lefties. Unfortunately, Screaming Lefties do follow Nick wherever he goes. So, but I think he thrives off it a bit. I think they kind of drive him on, inspire him a bit. So, yeah, it should be good. Should be a good speech. Basil, what's your political future? Well, if you're asking, me standing for an MP or something, absolutely not. I'm not qualified to be a politician in any way, shape, or form. But no, I know what I want to be. But in terms of who I support, well, I am actually a member of Restore Britain, and that's because it's not a political party, it's a movement. And I just wanted to see kind of what's going on with that, because the first time something like that's ever been done in terms of, polling members to kind of get policies together and all that stuff. So, and I am a fan of Rupert Lowe as well, so I wanted to see what would happen there. Right now, I'm not a member of any political party, but the way I feel about the country aligns a lot more with the SDP than it does with any other political party. I am a big fan of theirs, and I support Craig wholeheartedly in his ambitions to get elected into Holyrood. So that's what I want to see. And ultimately, what difference I want to make is very little in terms of what the country has got coming up. But I want reform to be a better party. That's one of the bigger things that I've pushed for. And by the way, you can see there are changes being made because of how many people at the grassroots level have turned on them and said, I'm not happy about the way the party's been run and stuff. So they have changed a few things. And over the next 4 years, I hope that drive keeps on going. Basil, do you trust Farage? No, I don't. There aren't many politicians that I do trust. And the reason why is because, one, I've been stung a lot of times in the past by politicians, but two, ultimately, we don't know these people. All we see is their television personas. We don't get to see what they're like in day-to-day life, and it's only when you get to really know somebody that you can know whether you're going to trust them or not. However, what I will say with Farage is one of the things I used to say about Farage is that the most appealing quality about him is that I knew exactly where he stood on things. So even if I didn't agree with him, I could sit there and go, but you know what? And he's consistent, and I know where he stands. And since he's been elected this year, I don't know where Farage stands on anything. There's so many things he's done where I'm just like, I don't know where that's come from. I don't understand why that's happened. I don't know why he's saying certain things. So ultimately, no, I don't trust him. Basil, sorry, Craig, are you back? I'm just reading out questions because I know what to do while you were away. Are you against?
All right, to be fair, I still had my earphones in. You were doing all right, to be fair.
Basil, did we reject the WHO on the 19th? No, we didn't reject the World Health Organization on the 19th. I wish we did, but no, what we've said is that we don't want to hand over ultimate power of lockdowns and stuff to them. So yeah, it's the WHO still influences a lot of policy. It's just that Keir Starmer wants to make sure he's the man who pushes the button. Basil, are you against all Muslims? No, not at all. And to be fair, it's like saying I'm against all Christians, even though I don't agree with things the Catholic Church has done in the past, or the current church, the Church of Scotland, Church of England, the Protestant churches do. There's things I don't like about all different religions. With Islam, the problem I've got with that is I just think that if you look at the demographics of Muslims in this country, and then you look at how often they come up in the crime statistics, the grooming gangs, and obviously Islam is the number one cause of terrorism in the UK, Europe, and worldwide. I just don't think enough attention is paid to what that religion actually stands for. and what it believes and what it perpetuates out there into society, which I don't think is a good thing. I'm not a fan of Islam at all. I'm happy to slag it off because that's just the way I feel about it. But individual Muslims know there will always be good and bad in all communities, and that's the difference I would make there. I'm just scrolling down. Basil, are you a far right racist? That's up for you to decide, I guess.
Yes.
Aye.
If you open your mouth and don't agree with everybody that's the most woke folk in the world, then you're by default far right. Because that's kind of how the world is right now. Everything's got to be polarly diverse and extreme. And there's middle ground. And I was talking to somebody about this today. We were talking about Israel and Gaza. The guy's like, it's just because you're pro-Israel. It's like, I'm not pro-Israel at all. What I'm not is anti-Israel. So there's a war going on that I kind of don't know too much about, although that might change because I've got the offer to go out there and make videos, which I'm keen to explore and find out more about the region. But what I won't do is sit and listen to people try to bullshit me and anybody else willing to listen to them, and forgetting things about how terrible Hamas are. So that's kind of where I am. I'm quite central in the whole thing. I've got no skin in the game. But I don't like people talking nonsense about nonsense. So sometimes I do talk out about Hamas, and I will defend people with a pro-Israeli outlook. I wouldn't say I'm pro-Israel, but I'm certainly not as anti-Israel. And that's not allowed. People in society today, you've got to be one or the other. You're not allowed a neutral position on anything. And I kind of, it frustrates the bloody life out of me. I put a post out today, and it's quite unusual for me because there was no photograph or anything attached to it. It was just me writing something. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was along the lines of, why is it everybody's got to have an opinion on something? Try and find the tweet. Because it actually was quite well received. Aye, why do so many people genuinely struggle with the concept of other folk having a different opinion? I can disagree with someone and don't need to agree with them, but they're still allowed an opinion regardless of how insane I think it is. But the amount of people on social media, you're not allowed an opinion. So you're not allowed an opinion that's opposite theirs. Because you see, they can't comprehend that. And you just want to talk to you, bore the bloody life out of you on social media about their opinion, and you're like, right, okay, well, I get it. You've got a different opinion from me, but not to just keep going on and 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 on. You're like, all right. There's one guy today he's listening to his comments on my posts, my videos, and he's quite supportive all the time. And he said, I can't vote for you because you're pro-Israel. So you agree with me with everything else I've ever said in the world, but because I am, in his eyes, pro-Israel, you're not going to vote for me. Like, okay, fine. And it was like, that wasn't acceptable either. But I'm kind of at a loss now. I perfectly accept the fact that the vast majority of people in the area that I'll be standing for election will not vote for me.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I don't expect every single person in Glasgow to vote for Craig Houston. All I need is enough to vote for Craig Houston to make it a success. So I'm quite happy to accept that the vast majority of people out there are not going to vote for Craig Houston, even if they can, because they live in the area that I'm standing for election. But that's not acceptable either. Get a grip.
Yeah. I was going to say, with some cracking questions coming in, by the way. Can I read you this one? Hazel Applegard, QQ. It's always Houston, we have a problem, and never Houston. Do you have a problem you want us to help you with? Craig, do you have a problem you want to share with the class?
I've got a bit of dry skin in my elbow after my holiday.
Do you want to scratch it for me?
I kind of, I don't know. It's weird because this isn't just a new thing for me, but I actually get more upset with other people's needs than I do my own. I'm quite happy. There's a lot of things I'm not happy about, but I've not got an over exciting life. I've got some nice things in the world, and but I'm no materialistic, so I don't want for much. I don't make fortunes anymore. I've had times in my life where I've made a damn sight more money, but I'm not that person anymore. So I don't need much. But I get more upset when people get upset about things than sometimes myself. The only thing I want people to do is vote for me. It's kind of it. And I know what he wants, so she can't do that. But that's kind of what it is. And even the fact that like so that when I've just clicked on buy me a coffee there where we were on, and I didn't realise how many people have fired money to me. I'm just like gobsmacked, because I'm not even comfortable saying to people, look, here's some facts, right? I could sit in this seat and do videos every day and make X amount of pounds on YouTube, but I don't want to do that. I want to go out and I want to do the Callies and the Ballaminas and the Londons and the Edinburghs and, you know, go up to Falkirk like I did last week. You know, some of them don't cost much at all, but and when I'm not sitting in the house making videos and I'm bugger offering about Europe and whatever to make hopefully things that people enjoy and want to see, then there are costs involved in that. And I've got to make a decision. I go, well, I'll go and spend 4 figures to do this video. And while I'm doing that, I'm not making the money sat in my arse here. And I've kind of got to be sort of pragmatic about it and say, well, I could just sit in my arse and make X amount of pounds per day on YouTube. So when you actually then start saying to people, look, see if you help me here, I'll go and do these things. I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it. I hate the begging bowl. You see a lot of people on social media and it is begging bowl all the time. I've seen people do lives and will only let people put their questions up when they've bought a super sticker, right? So if you give them £5, they'll answer your question. And I just think, I've not got the brass neck for that. So I don't like asking people for help, but you know, when it gets to May 2026, if you live in Glasgow and you don't think I'm a bad guy, I'm not even asking you for your constituency vote. Give me your second vote, because we'll get a weird way we vote up here, and that's where I'll be standing in Glasgow, and I'm what they call a list candidate. So just, if you don't think I'm an arse and you think I could go to Holyrood and put these people under pressure, give me your second vote in Glasgow. That's kind of all I need. So good question, but thanks.
There's another question here, Craig. You said you have no skin in the game on the show with a young lady a while ago from Israel. Remember that interview you did with that? It must be from you. You said you have no skin in the game. Do you remember what she said to that?
When I said that?
You said you have no skin in the game. What was her response? Do you remember?
Gaza.
Yeah,
I can't actually. I think she probably said you should have, because I kind of remember having a conversation with somebody about it one day, and they said, well, you should have, because if there's no Israel, then it just opens the gates to Europe. And I can see that logic. I maybe don't agree with that logic, but the big thing for me is Israel is surrounded by loads of people who want Israel annihilated. You know, you look at any direction on a border for Israel, and you're surrounded by people that would like to just wipe you off the face of the earth. So it must be quite a weird place to live. And that's kind of why I want to go. But I can't remember what she said, no.
No, I can't remember either. There's a question for both of you. When the Queen was alive and throughout her reign, I was a solid monarchy supporter. Now with King Charles on the throne, coming out with all the globalist BS, I can't. I guess the question is, what do we think of the state of the monarchy right now compared to what it used to be?
Well, I tell you, I was thinking about this today when I saw the footage of him from yesterday, the day before, when he was at some Islamic centre, right? And I thought, see if there was a referendum tomorrow to maintain the monarchy, I would vote to maintain the monarchy. However, if there was a referendum tomorrow to change the monarch, I would probably vote to change the monarch.
Yeah.
But keep the monarchy. I like the concept of it. I like the thing when it works well. And I think I've been spoiled, like most people that are alive today, that the biggest influence for the monarchy we've had their whole life was Queen Elizabeth II. It was a fantastic monarch. Yes, she probably made some mistakes, particularly around about the time Diana died, but in hindsight you think, well, what should she have done? I know that there was a few people not too pleased about the way that some of the things that happened during that time, particularly after Diana, between her dying and the funeral. But if that's her only mistakes in the length of reign that she had, then you would take that any day over a guy who's probably made more mistakes in his short reign than his mother did in her full reign.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the monarchy are meant to stand for standards and to keep traditions alive and all the rest of it. And I don't like when I see this modernization, as they call it, of the monarchy, being not the defender of the faith, but the defender of all faiths and all that kind of stuff. I don't like any of it. And I say that as an atheist, right? I was brought up in as a Catholic, but ultimately I kind of lost my faith when I got older, but I still act as if there is a God, and I still have, I guess, Judeo-Christian values. And I like churches, and I've said before, actually, I'm a big fan of the Protestant church as well. And just to me, I just think that there's. Oh, sorry, we've got someone joining us.
Yeah, I've just muted you, Bobby, because we're getting feedback. See whatever you're listening to us on. See if you turn it off and just watch through the device you're talking to. It'll stop the feedback, buddy.
Anyway, I was going to say I have to get away anyway, Craig. So enjoy the rest of your show, mate, and I'll leave you to it. Okay.
Well, thanks for an hour of your time there, buddy. I appreciate that.
No problem. Take care.
Fun as usual. Take care. Cheers, bye. Bobby.
Hello, how are you?
Bang average yourself.
Hey, I'm kind of bang average myself. I'm just trying not to laugh too much at a lot of what I hear these days.
Right. So
I have views that historically would probably get me classed as a right winger now, but they're not right wing. They're actually cases of these are the realities. This is what is actually happening, and it's there in front of our eyes, and we don't want to see it because it's too bloody uncomfortable. Because if we accept what we're truly seeing in front of our eyes, we'll have to accept the fact that we have been wrong and misled for so long. It's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole mindset change.
If you could pick one or two of them, Bobby, that you think we've been gaslit, led up the garden path.
We've been gaslit by the fact that we think our political parties care about us because they don't give a monkeys about us. People sit there and go, why would the Labour Party do something like that? It just doesn't make sense. Well, actually, it does make sense. It's because they don't care about us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you must have heard about the Labour Party getting the block votes from the imams at the mosques.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how can the Labour Party say that's right? I thought our country was supposed to be built on the fact that you're not meant to be able to do block votes. Mm-hmm. And yet the Labour Party can benefit from it.
Yeah. And listen, I would take it a step further. I've not seen it so much in Westminster because I kind of don't watch it when it happens. But see, when you're voted in and you go in and the next time you turn up at Parliament, you've got to say an oath. I watch it in Holyrood when it happens. And it blows my mind. You actually don't even need to take your oath on a Bible anymore. And that's kind of what Britain's built on. I mean, you go to court, you put your hand on the Bible, you take an oath. Or you should. Well, they've changed that as well now, right? And you think, no, I don't care if you're a Christian or not Christian. If that's the nature of that country, then that's kind of what you need to do. Now, if I was, God forbid, arrested in Qatar or Dubai or whatever, and I turned up at court there, and that's what you had to do, you had to put your hand in a Quran and swear to Allah that you tell the truth, the whole truth, not but the truth, I'd kind of do it. If I went to any foreign country and decided I wanted to stand as an official, I would either accept the terms of that role, i.e. you take an oath, or I would not even put myself forward for that position. But what we've got is we've got a strange society where we allow basically anybody to do what they want. And the thing that got me thinking about this, Bobby, was a couple of weeks ago, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Thingy Russell, the Tory leader up in Scotland, got into trouble for a terminology he used to describe the Greens. He called them cranks, right? And I kind of like that terminology. It's a word that I use quite regularly in my videos. And I actually thought, I wonder if Russell Finley's been watching my videos. And he got into trouble.
And I went, said cranks.
I'm sure he did say cranks, and it started with a C, no a W, right? If it wasn't, it was something very similar, Bobby. And I thought to myself, hold on a minute. You can get sworn into that place, and I have heard it, talking Urdu, Arabic, Gaelic, English, obviously, and even Old Scots. So you can turn up there and take your oath in a language that nobody else in that building might understand, because that's the language that they say that you've chosen because of, whatever it is. And I think, well, I'm from the west of Scotland. So if I turn up in West Holyrood and I use the word like crank, I'll be arguing, I'm saying, no, not at all. I'm not taking any shite off you for that, because I can come in here and talk a whole different tongue. I'm only using the local dialect from where I was elected, and the word crank is used in that area. So you can't use that. But you can get sworn in Urdu if you want, swearing in a Quran. And I think, where did this all start going wrong? Why? We've been hoodwinked into this. We're actually so far in that it's actually laughable. I'm actually depressed. I was talking to somebody. Was it in? I went to visit some soldiers, some ex-soldiers in a charity thing on Saturday afternoon. Cracking place out in Paisley. I'm not going to get into too much about it now, but I'm going to help them try and raise awareness for what they're trying to do. I'm going to go in a couple of weeks and make a podcast up with them and try and highlight what they're doing. And they're needing to raise some funds, and they could be doing with some help. And I was talking to one of them, and I said, what was I talking about there? I just went right off, man, and I forgot what I was saying. What was it I was talking to him about? Oh, that's terrible.
You're getting as old as me.
Oh, mate, and it's terrible. I lack of sleep. But it was something to do, how we got here. Oh, aye, remembered now. I said, do you know what disappoints me most? We were talking about standards and decorum and all these things. I says, we're probably the first generation in the history of the United Kingdom that's going to hand over the country to the next generation in a worse fucking situation than we did when we got it. And I think all these people that fought in the First and Second World Wars, but no even see the miners that didn't fight and the women that stayed at home and kept families and made fucking bombs and made bullets and took on jobs that they would never normally have had to have taken. Every single last one of them done their bit to make this country a better place. That was what drove them.
And we've screwed it up.
We've made a complete arse of it.
Yep.
We're handing over the country in a worse situation than what we inherited for our forefathers. And that really depresses me, Bobby. It really does. And that's probably why I'm driven to try and do what I'm hopefully doing. And while I get there, I kind of think I will. Well, I'll be able to make a difference. If I can make a little difference, that'll be a better thing.
I'd go a stage further. We're not handing it over to the next generation. The next generation might not survive. We're handing it over to an opposing power which hates us. We're giving it to them. Mm-hmm. Here, take our country. Mm-hmm. We're sitting there, and I don't think I tend to see it as I've known in my time plenty of Muslims, and there's Muslims and the religious people, and that's fine. But when you look at the other side of them, where it's the Islamists, where they're political active, those guys are nut jobs, and they believe in things like the taqiyya in the Quran is correct. You know the taqiyya?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's acceptable to lie if it's for the benefit of Islam.
If it's for the benefit of Islam. So what makes you think that any of them are ever going to tell you the truth? You can't. I mean, why have we, as a country, it's horrific to think that when you look at the number of grooming gangs, and I give not one jot about nationality, creed, religion, colour, anything, but when you look at the number of rape gangs that have been in existence in this country, we know now for 40 years they've been there. And we know
it's longer than that, mate.
Probably longer than that, but we know at the moment, call it 40 years, and we're talking each town, maybe 2,000 girls getting raped multiple times a week. Mm-hmm. When you start looking at that and saying, how can we as a country have got to the stage where this has been allowed to happen and we have done nothing? Squat diddly. We've sat back and said, oh, well, we don't want to offend people. Don't want to offend them. I could say things just now.
Here's a thought that's just crossed my mind, right? Seeing the history of our country, our nation, we've probably had times where we've had potential threats from radical Christians. Because, there's been some crackpot Christians about in times, right?
Yep.
We've never let it happen. We've done something about it. And radical anything's kind of not normally good, regardless of what that is behind.
I would agree with you.
The word radical.
Yep.
And we've countered it before, but we seem to have just went, nah. And now we're looking to define Islamophobia. For what benefit? And it's never. And this is
it's for the benefit of it's for the benefit of the Islamists that want to take over this country to be able to punish us and silence us. Mm-hmm. That's why.
What I don't do now, see, since the advent of the hate crime up here, which is only 1st of April last year, right?
Yeah.
I've stopped looking at the nonsense they tell us when they tell us they need to bring out a new law, I consider what's the negatives from that you could have by depending on how it's interpreted. Because there's quite a lot of laws out there. I was over in Edinburgh for a protest by an organisation called GYMS, which is a thing asking for fair trials because there's certain things that go on in trials that they're not happy with. And it kind of made sense to me when I was speaking to them. But I could understand why the law was made in the first place. This is something to do with what you can actually present as evidence at a court of law. And I could understand why that made sense 30 years ago when it was brought out. But the way it's been implemented today is totally different for the reason that it was brought out 30 years ago.
Yep.
You kind of listen to the nonsense and I go, it's not about the law, it's about how that's implemented and how it's argued about. Because what will happen is the first thing we'll know is somebody can contest it in a court of law, and then some judge somewhere's got a decision to make, and whatever he agrees there, then he sets the precedence, and that's it. So it kind of can evolve through time. And that's the bits that I'm worried about.
No, I'd agree. Every time somebody says we just want to tweak this, we have to ask, hold on, why do you need to tweak it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when they brought out those hate laws, the reality check was if you asked the question, see all the things that you're bringing us out to protect, don't we already currently have laws for that? The answer was, yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, why do you bring these laws in? And the only answer I ever heard that was an honest one was somebody admitting, because it means we can add 7 years on to the sentence of anybody we get for a hate crime. Jesus, wet boys.
Aye. Do you know, I done a podcast with one of Scotland's top, I was a QC at the time, Thomas Ross, now obviously a Casey, when the hate crime thing came out. Done a couple of podcasts with Thomas. But the hate crime one was interesting because the two are football fans. That's how we knew each other. And we were talking about the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act, which was brought out and then put in the bin. And I was working in football when that was a thing. And I spoke to a lot of cops in the course of my job, and I said to them, has anybody been arrested under the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act that you could not have arrested the day before that came out? And the answer was no. I said, well, we didn't need the new law then. It was just so you could attach things to it. And I kind of thought the same with the hate crime, and we spoke about it in the podcast, you know, and we decided that we would leave it a year and then we would revisit it. So it's probably time to do that and look at the stats and see if there was anybody at all. I mean, I'm up at court on the 8th of August for a hate crime legislation, hate crime law charge. But to be honest with you, what they've stepped up the charge about, they could probably have charged me with something else before hate crime came out, because, you know, there was other things that they could have.
Well, as we know, governments love to make up charges.
Mm-hmm.
Been plenty of people in the history of this country being charged with things that it turns out, oh, they didn't do it. Oops. That's government's way of silencing people.
Yeah, I can't wait until my shackles are off, is probably a nice way of putting it. And I can talk more openly and freely about my own charges. But there's two reasons I can't. First reason is I have bail conditions, which really make it awkward for me to talk about it, because there's certain even words I can't say, right, or I'd be breaking my bail conditions. There's certain places I can't go to, and there's certain people that I can't talk about. And it's not just the person involved, it's that whole job description I can't talk about, which is bonkers. So I kind of, and the advice I've been given by very good counsel is, you can talk the fact that you've been arrested and you've been charged, but kind of don't go too far for that, because they're in negotiations just now with people who might be able to stop the charges. So I don't want to scupper that by saying anything stupid, but what I will say is, I'm quite confident that I will not end up being guilty on what I was charged for. Whether that even sees court's debatable. And as soon as that's free, then I'll be free to talk about things a lot more openly, and I look forward to that moment. And it's incredible. And I even when I was arrested and charged, I still had faith. I remember being driven across Glasgow through where I was arrested to the jail, the police station that they put me in a cell. And I thought, I've got belief and trust in the judiciary that I must have said something in a video. And until I was released from that cell and up the road and watched the video the next day, I realised I hadn't.
See, I used to be like you. I had great faith in our justice system and our policing system. And now, today, based on what I've seen in the last decade, I trust nobody in the police and nobody in the judiciary.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
because,
a comment I would not back up right now for obvious reasons.
Well, fair enough, but I mean, most of the people I know now will tell you exactly the same thing. Everybody I speak to goes, no, I don't trust the police anymore. Used to, not anymore. I don't trust the judicial system because the judicial system has shown itself to be part of two-tier Keir's, as we like to call them, political arm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that he's turned around and released people so that he could make room to put people who were arguing against grooming gangs in jail, arguing what happened with Axel Rudy Cabana and putting them in jail. And when he says they were rioting, most of them weren't. They weren't people out there rioting and burning the streets down. And yet they still went on, oh, we'll put them in jail. That'll shut everybody else up and keep them from because Keir seems to be full of little surprises about his sex life and all sorts of other political shenanigans he's getting involved in.
Well, this came up in a conversation last couple of weeks ago as well, Bobby. See if you could name the two most likely job occupations that would lead to somebody being a wee bit weird in the bedroom, right? You'd probably pick the legal profession and the political sphere.
Correct. Yep.
Imagine if you were both of them.
Well, yes.
Do you know what I mean?
You know, maybe he's not gay. Maybe he's bisexual. I don't know.
Oh, there's somebody done something nice. John Platt has gifted somebody a membership to the Craig Houston Talks to YouTube page. Thanks very much for that. I hope whoever else enjoys being a member. And thank you very much for doing that, John. It was a nice thing to do. So, I kind of think I've babbled on quite a bit now. It's nearly 8:30. We've been at it since 7 o'clock. So, thanks very much to Viking. Thanks very much to Bobby. Thanks very much to Kev. Thanks very much to Basil, who've all come up and made this not Craig Houston sit and talk nonsense, but the whole reason I wanted to do this show and develop this show is other people can come up. I can tell everybody what I'm not happy with anytime I want with this camera in front of me and the platform I've got on YouTube.
Yeah.
The whole thing about this program, this whatever you want to call it, was to try and get people who don't have a platform the ability to come up and say, Houston, we have a problem, and talk about their problems. And if nobody came up and spoke about their problems, it'd be a pretty pointless exercise. So thanks to everybody who has came up, yourself included, Bobby and Viking, Basil and Kevin. Thanks very much to those. I've not been able to get anywhere near the comments tonight because it's been so busy talking. So if I've missed anything out, I do apologise. And thanks very much to everybody who has tuned in, because there's been about, I've been having a wee look there. It shows you the figures in some different ways. Like X counts everybody that's watched it. Twitter only counts those that are watching right now. Facebook, there's that few watching Facebook, I'm not actually sure. But trying to talk them up and apply common sense and logic, there's been somewhere between 4,000 or 5,000 people tuned in over the three platforms and listened to us talk all nonsense. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thanks very much to everybody that's watched. Thanks very much to everybody that sent in notes on their messages. And thanks very much to those who've come up and joined in the blether. It'll take about 10 minutes. This will get all shuffled about fancy by YouTube, and it'll fire it out as a sort of standalone video, not live. Everything gets reset. All the algorithm things that I've worked with you guys liking it and commenting and stuff that helps attract more people to it gets basically scrubbed. So we start from fresh again. So if you do see it when you're cutting about YouTube later on, go and have a wee like, stick a wee comment in. Don't sit and listen to it for an hour and a half, but doing that will certainly help even more people. So thank you very much, everybody. Hope you all have a great night.